Hi, and welcome to the Diamond Report for Saturday, May 20th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. We're currently looking at Earthquake 3D, and as you can see in the middle of the screen here, we've got a magnitude 6.0 earthquake on land in Mexico. That's actually in Chiapas, Mexico. I think that's where they grow the Arabica beans for the famous coffee that they make there. And then right next to it, off the coast of Mexico, is another 5.8, which of course is very close to a 6. Those have both happened in the last few hours. The 5.8 was at 1 o'clock this morning, and then the 6.0 was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, that's Central Time. So about 12 hours apart. The one off the coast was first, but I think that makes, counting this 6.0 here, I think that makes about the 11th or 12th magnitude 6.0 quake since the CERN restart on May 8th, which was some 12 days ago now. And having a dozen earthquakes magnitude 6.0 or larger over a 12-day period is pretty unusual. Normally we would not see that. I'm not blaming everything on CERN, of course, but the timing of it does seem very interesting, as I have mentioned before. And of course, yesterday's very deep Philippine quake, magnitude 6.1, that one we're really going to have to watch the ramifications of over the next few days, because if that one right there leads to shallow, larger movement on a single earthquake scale, that's going to be a pretty big quake, because that would be anywhere from about a 7.0 to an 8.0 roughly, as I mentioned in last night's update. So if I back this off to all earthquakes magnitude 2.0 and larger over the last 48 hours, that's about what we're looking at right now. And other than the Mexican quakes, the 6.0 and the 5.8, we've got really nothing much new of significance in the U.S. There is a 3.1 in Oklahoma, which of course is very normal now because Oklahoma is the new Madrid seismic zone. And we've got a few more 4s in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. Not a whole lot of new information here. In Japan, really just 4s and 5s, which is all very normal as far as pressure movement. And then typical small swarms in New Zealand. And across the Middle East, we've got, mostly 4s, I guess, from one end of the Middle East to the other. And then Europe, kind of the same thing, 2s, 3s, and 4s. And a stack of 3s on Iceland with a near 4, 3.9 as well. So anyway, that's what we're looking at as far as the earthquake picture at the moment. And the most significant thing, to me at least, is the quakes in Mexico. Not a whole lot of activity actually in South America, which is a little interesting. Usually there's a little more movement than that, but what we have here is all concentrated in one area, right along Chile, I guess, for the most part, which is always the most active area. We do have a really large silent zone, though, from northern Chile all the way up here into Colombia. So we'll be seeing another quake in about the middle here of off the coast of Peru. That's just a matter of days, I would imagine anyway, because it's silent at the moment. And just as I was getting ready to shut down my Earthquake 3D software, I refreshed it one more time, and lo and behold, a magnitude 3.4 quake has struck in Kansas. Now, there are fracking operations all over Oklahoma and Kansas and of course Texas, and I'm sure that that's attributable to fracking. However, to have a magnitude 3.4 in Kansas is a little unusual. It's a pretty decent sized quake. I would imagine that a few people might have felt that, so I don't know if it would have woken anyone up or not, being as how it's, after midnight really in Kansas. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. It just popped up on my map here. Anyway, let's move on to the headlines. Donald Trump and First Lady Melania plus Ivanka are greeted by the Saudi king. Trump touched down in the Middle East this morning. It's on the Daily Mail. I can't imagine what kind of trouble he's going to get into over there. And to go to Saudi Arabia, of all places, I mean, I understand wanting to, meet with different people. And, of course, the Saudis basically own us, for lack of a better term. But for Trump to go there, and hopefully he won't grovel like the Bushes did, well, at least George W. Bush did anyway, and Obama. It's just sickening. I don't get it. But anyways, I noticed they took Ivanka with them. I think that's pretty funny. I'm sure she'll be causing her own havoc there as well. Comey agrees to testify in open hearing before Senate Intelligence Committee. Former FBI Director James Comey is expected to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee after Memorial Day. Trump told Russians firing nutjob Comey eased the pressure from the investigation. I faced great pressure because of Russia. That's taken off. That's on Zero Hedge. Mainstream media propaganda from Khalidi tape to, quote, nutjob. Friday's supposed bombshell stories now follow the same pattern. Dems, media, intel folks fall into no evidence column on Trump campaign collusion with Russia. That's on Breitbart. As leaks pile up, it's evident Trump is under attack from his own staff. That's on the Daily Caller. Yeah, but I keep coming back to he's the one that put them there. At least a lot of them. Some of them are holdovers from Obama. But all he has to do is fire him. David Horowitz lays out globalist plan to overthrow Trump. Conservative author reveals attack plan of anti-Trump movement. Report British teen sex slaves fed into meat grinders by Muslims. Europe continues to cower to radical Islamic death cult. That, of course, is what they are. That's what Islam does. Gab founder Andrew Torba outlines the censorship wars. Left continues assault on free speech in the Western world. I'm on Gab as well, gab.ai/Diamond Disc. It's the equivalent of Twitter without all of the social justice warriors. I'm sure there's a few on there, but it's not nearly as bad as Twitter is. Exposed, the White House leaker has been identified. Attempts to bring down Trump intensify in West Wing. Democrats attack Alex Jones for raising the stock market. InfoWars report causes stocks to surge. Vaccines exposed, the hidden crime against children. Boston Herald says people should be hanged for being vaccine choice. Yes, they do. And it's really sick. And just in time for Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia, U.S. Saudi Arabia seal weapons deal worth nearly $110 billion with a B dollars immediately. $350 billion over 10 years. Largest single arms deal in U.S. history, negotiating a package totaling more than $109.7 billion. And what are we going to get for that money, I ask? Breaking mass nationwide anti-Trump riots planned for July 2nd. Summer of rage set to boil over as militant leftists plan to overthrow Trump. An InfoWars special report on Anthony Weiner, Pizzagate domino falls, admits preying on child. What the media isn't telling you about Anthony Weiner. And it's really hard to say Weiner without laughing. China killed a dozen CIA sources after uncovering spy operations, U.S. officials say. Agency assets killed and imprisoned between 2010 and 2012. Stephen Colbert, Tuck Buckford, and Alex Jones talk Chobani lawsuit. InfoWars exposes Colbert's disinformation campaign. I think just about anything Colbert says would be qualified as a disinformation campaign. UK government moves aggressively to censor and control the internet. That's on libertyblitzkrieg.com. Chinese media warns U.S. social division shows Western democracy is crumbling. That's on Zero Hedge. Shadow Brokers hacking group launches subscription service selling nuclear secrets. That's on Zero Hedge as well. I wonder if Hillary's hooked up with them. North Korea vows to fight harder for nuclear weapons as Trump puts pressure on the Kim regime. Good old Crazy Kim. That's on the Express. North Korea rubbishes hostile claims it is behind the WannaCry cyber attack as ridiculous. Well, it is ridiculous. It's completely ludicrous. They did not have anything to do with it. They couldn't have. They don't have that sort of power, folks. Former FBI agent claims Russia investigation spells Nixonian trouble for Trump. It does not rise to the level of Nixonian trouble, if you ask me. ISIS tested chemical weapons on live victims in horrific Nazi-style experiments. Documents found at university in Mosul reveal. Israeli minister hints at coming war in Syria and Iran. Quote, the time has come to assassinate Assad. That's on shtfplan.com. You know when someone's calling for Assad's assassination, that is a globalist talking. Rush Limbaugh on Russia probes, quote, we are watching a silent coup here to oust a duly elected president. Indeed we are. Way to go, Rush. That's on Breitbart. The DNC hacking scandal, Seth Rich, Craig Murray, and the sinister stewards of the national security state. George Soros is stealing your elections and no one is stopping him. That's on Freedom Outpost. European Union days away from launching controversial new EU military headquarters in Brussels. X22 report, American people are being distracted if they only knew. That they are. CNN reports Comey has changed his mind, now believes Trump tried to influence him. That's on Zero Hedge. This is not cybercrime, it's war. Expert warns hackers exploiting this common mistake. Ebola virus in the Congo, CDC not ready to issue travel advisory. White House lawyers are consulting experts to research impeachment procedures. You'd defend Trump if he took a dump on his desk. CNN host Anderson Cooper shocks viewers with outburst at Trump supporter Jeffrey Lord. That is funny. Feds admit they use secret anti-terror mass surveillance tool to catch an undocumented waiter. Kim.com makes monster claim. I have evidence Seth Rich was WikiLeaks' source. That's on the Free Thought Project. Lawsuit threatens to destroy the DNC for election rigging. Mainstream media blackout ensues. Mentioned that one yesterday. Angela Merkel, Germany will become an Islamic stronghold. I think they already are. Right-wing protesters try to raid German Justice Ministry over hate speech bill. That's on RT. Saudi-led Arab NATO will destabilize Mideast, unleash massive war in the region. That's on Sputnik News. I think the Middle East is already pretty destabilized. Nut job. New York Times collaborates with Deep State to smear Trump again. That's on Breitbart. Why there won't be any evidence of Russian collusion explained in just 2 paragraphs. That's on the Daily Caller. Even Vox admits Democrats are falling for fake news about Russia. Also on the Daily Caller. We did not touch on that at all. Lavrov denies Trump said Comey is a nut job. That's on Zero Hedge. Leftist media pushes Trump to nominate anti-gun liberal for FBI chief. And the anti-gun liberal, of course, is Joe Lieberman, which would be an absolute terrible choice as FBI chief. And I just mentioned this, it's funny. New sheriff in town, unlike Obama, Trump doesn't bow to the Saudi king. That's on the Gateway Pundit. Well, we'll see. Hopefully that's true. I know that Obama did, and George W. Bush certainly did. Exclusive Media Matters and Soros 2017 to 2020 media assault plan exposed, including Trump war room operations. Hashtag Brockgate. That's on the Gateway Pundit. Migrants gang rape woman in wheelchair. Police free them for sick reason. That's on the watchtowers.net. U.S. satellites being threatened with destruction. Prepare now to be able to communicate in a crisis. That's on Natural News. Transgenders found to exhibit shockingly high rates of suicidal thoughts and attempts. Also on Natural News. Oregon bureaucrats may be backing off forced glyphosate poisoning of 2,000-acre Azure organic farm. Also on Natural News. And if you listen to the Lost Arts Radio interview with the folks who run the Azure Organic Farm, you will find out even more details about what that headline right there mentions. American Civil War 2.0, a bitter hybrid conflict with no end in sight. That's on Sputnik News. Cyber attacks and the vulnerability of a cashless society. Russia's special counsel Mueller worked with radical Islamic groups to purge anti-terrorism training material offensive to Muslims. That's on Judicial Watch. Aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan moves to Korean Peninsula for training exercises as tensions grow between U.S. and North Korea. I'm not sure they can grow any more than they already are, until somebody lights up a bomb somewhere. Trump strikes back. The war is on. Trump has successfully answered the deep state attacks in the media. Let the war begin. That's from Dave Hodges. We will continue to terrorize you. ISIS calls for jihadis to copy Times Square attack. Seemed to me like it was almost the other way around. The guy who was smoking weed and driving his car down the sidewalk, hitting people, was more of a copycat attack than what the ISIS guys were already doing in London and in France and wherever else. A quarter of American adults can't pay all their monthly bills. 44% have less than $400 in cash. That is so sad. It's on Zero Hedge. Is Trump about to flip-flop on radical Islamic terrorism? That's on Zero Hedge as well. If he does, I'm not sure who will buy that. Leaked chat logs purport to show deep state planting anti-Trump stories with the media. Intel agents discuss Comey memo before it happened. That's the InfoWars report. Another Hanford emergency. Signs of another leaking tank. The U.S. Department of Energy is scrambling to deal with the second emergency at the nuclear site in 10 days' time. Fake news trashing Trump, Seth Rich, and Russian hacking charge. And economic update. That's on USA Watchdog with Greg Hunter. On the Daily Mail, doomsday seed vault in the Arctic has flooded after soaring global temperatures caused permafrost to melt. But breach has experts questioning how climate change will affect its survival. And as I said yesterday, climate change, the term, is a psyop. We wouldn't have climate change if we didn't have massive geoengineering programs that have been going on for decades. Reince Priebus is outed as a leaker by Mike Cernovich, Alex Jones, and Roger Stone. That's on InfoWars. Dark days in May. The deep state coup to overthrow Trump. The deep state, a body of traitors to America, to the American people, to American history, is determined to assassinate Donald Trump. That's on USDefenseWatch.com. Theresa May wants government to create new regulated internet. This is blatant censorship and a war against free speech. And Steve says, all tyrants and the devil's henchmen and Jezebels want control of the truth so their evil can remain hidden. That is so true. Original story on InfoWars. Urban survival skills are about knowing what to expect when SHTF happens in a city, what skills you need, and what to do in the first 24 hours and beyond. That's on ConcernedUSPatriots.com. The gender-obsessed West sets itself up for the rise of Islam. If the West will not commit itself to preserving Western societies and values, it will fall. That's on GatesstoneInstitute.org. We're already seeing that happening. Hundreds of thousands of British pounds spent by the National Health System on supersized ambulances for the obese. That's on Natural News. Experts warn of coming war on U.S. streets. This is alarming. They're preparing for war, and the first line of defense is going to be our neighborhoods. As America falls under an Islamic trance, Islamic terrors won't simply go away. That's on All News Pipeline. From MIT, robots learning how to transfer their knowledge to other robots. Steve says, new word, human termination technology, HTT. That's on technocracy.news. NATO putting troops in pop-up border town, right on Russia's doorstep. One 52-year-old Russian woman living in the Latvian town of Vizhaka told the National Post, "If there's a war, it would be nuclear." That's on conservativetribune.com. Warning, deplorables are everywhere. From lawmakers to 4chan to independent media, patriots have re-engaged. That's on All News Pipeline. The beast system wants to eat you. They are teaching us to eat each other. And on technocracy.news, cyber attack fallout, technology is the master of modern slavery. Trilateral Commission member inducted into the Canadian Business Hall of Fame. And don't forget, it's Saturday, so that means the brand new Geoengineering Watch Global Alert News for May 20th. Dane Wigington says, "At what point do we use the word eugenics when referring to the ever more desperate actions of the completely out of control power structure? We are collectively being forced to endure an unimaginable onslaught of highly toxic assaults, from fluoridated water to chemical-laden GMO foods to the highly toxic climate engineering fallout, and of course, there are the forced vaccinations. 131 children in Africa have recently been vaccinated by gunpoint. That is how bad it is. What is all of this doing to our cognitive ability? Statistics prove that intelligence levels are indeed dropping precipitously. This is not conjecture, not speculation, not theory, but statistical fact. How convenient for those in power." Another record snow in the center of the U.S., while record heat surrounds the completely engineered chemical cool down. The Saudi Arabian dictatorship terrorist nation has just secured another $100 billion worth of weapons from the U.S. so they can continue to obliterate Yemen, one of the poorest nations in the world. Then there is the subject of World War III, which the USA and NATO seem to be doing their best to make happen. The Russian military has already concluded the U.S. is preparing for a first strike. Did we hear a word about this most dire news from the U.S. media? No. The latest installment of Global Alert News is below. And of course you can go here and listen to it. Then he finishes by saying, "The sand in the hourglass is rapidly running out. If we have any chance of turning the tide, the effort will take each and every one of us." That is from Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. And if you go to the website, the article I just read from is at the top of the recent column under Global Alert News for May 20th. Okay, that's all for today's Diamond Report. Thanks for listening and watching, and I will see you tomorrow.